MGK was met with boos and middle fingers during his performance at a rock festival in late 2021, and while he was singing on the ground between the barricade and the stage, he was shoved by an attendee who he ended up punching in return. This crowd behavior wasn't just because of MGK's career switch from rap to rock or annoying gatekeepers. The real reason the audience turned on him was because he had beef with one of the most prominent figures in rock and metal, and they weren't having it. What do you get when you take a singer from one of the biggest metal bands in the world and a rapper turned rock star with a fiery attitude? You get a feud between Slipknot's Corey Taylor and Machine Gun Kelly. We've examined a couple of the biggest feuds in rock and metal history over the last few weeks, but this time we're going to get into one that started just a couple of years ago. It didn't last as long as some of the others we've talked about, but while it was going on, it was a widely discussed topic in the rock and metal community. Some of you might be rolling your eyes, but you have to remember that MGK has a lot of fans too, and he gained even more when he switched genres. He's a genuine fan of rock and metal music, even if he chose to pursue rap first. Both of his pop-punk albums, 2020's Tickets to My Downfall and 2022's Mainstream Sellout, reached the top of the Billboard 200, making them his first two #1 albums ever. Not to mention, a lot of his concerts in support of those albums sold out. So this feud was a matter of a veteran rocker versus someone who is new to the rock and metal scene, but not new to music. Or drama.
Knees weak or old age, the real Slim Shady can't stand up.
At the time, it seemed like Taylor was the one who started the rivalry when he made comments about MGK during an interview. But it was a comment that MGK made about footwear that sparked the whole thing, and it all turned out to be really silly in the end. Before we get into the match, we have to introduce the opponents. Corey Taylor was born in December of 1973 and is best known for his career with Slipknot, Stone Sour, and as a solo artist. Between all three acts, he's released a total of 15 studio albums. MGK, formerly known as Machine Gun Kelly, was born Colson Baker in April of 1990 and became famous as a rapper. He released 2 pop-punk albums in the 2020s and has a total of 6, including his rap works. The drama between Taylor and MGK unfolded in the latter half of 2021, with both musicians firing shots at each other live and in the press. The difference between this feud and the other ones we've covered is the day and age it took place in. We didn't have TikTok and Instagram back when Axl Rose and Slash threw digs at each other in the past.
But the internet seems to be like a big garbage can.
So the internet is definitely to blame for exacerbating things this time around. In February of 2021, Taylor made a comment about MGK's transition from rap to pop punk. He didn't name the musician outright, but it was pretty obvious who he was talking about. He said, "I am the worst old fogey dude shaking his cane ever, and I hate everything. I hate all new rock for the most part."
Well, the artists who failed in one genre and decided to go rock, and I think he knows who he is. That's another story.
Later that year, when MGK fired back, he also didn't name Taylor outright, but it was once again obvious who the blow was directed at. He said during his performance at Riot Fest,
"Hey, you want to know what I'm really happy that I'm not doing? Being 50 years old, wearing a fucking weird mask on a fucking stage, talking shit."
Because media outlets picked up on what MGK said, his beef with Taylor became widely publicized and was a hot topic on the internet for a bit. A lot of metal fans naturally defended Taylor, so MGK continued throwing punches on Twitter. This time, directly naming Taylor, he wrote that the Slipknot vocalist had recorded a verse for a song on his 2020 album Tickets to My Downfall, but he didn't use it because it was terrible. He asserted that Taylor was mad that his verse was excluded from the album and called him bitter. Taylor then went back at MGK in his own social media post, writing, "I don't like people airing private shit like a child, so this is all I'll say. I didn't do the track because I don't like when people try to write for me. I said no to them. So without further ado, receipts. This is all I'm gonna say about it." The receipts in question were screenshots of an email exchange between Taylor and Blink-182's Travis Barker, who produced Tickets to My Downfall. In the first screenshot, Barker said that they loved Taylor's verse and included a note he received from MGK about it. In the message, MGK said he felt inspired after hearing Taylor's vocals, that the Slipknot singer killed it, and that he felt honored to have him on his song. MGK added a couple of suggestions he had to flesh out the rest of the verse, and even wrote a bridge that he wanted Taylor to sing. In Taylor's response to Barker, he said that he listened to MGK's suggestions and ultimately decided that he wasn't the right guy for the song because he didn't think that he was what the rapper turned rocker was looking for. MGK made it pretty clear that he wasn't going to let Taylor have the last word though, and he responded to his tweet saying, "Basically, your verse was really bad. Respectfully, I was just telling you to rewrite it because it was really bad, respectfully. But let's do a Britney Spears song cover together." Before we get any further, I just want to quickly tell you about Loudwire's online merch store, where you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, pins, and a lot of cool other things, including our new 80s and campaign merch collections. Check it out now at loudwiremerch.com. While all this was going on, MGK performed at Kentucky's Louder Than Life festival. While much of the audience seemed to have a good time during his set, there were a couple of apparent Slipknot fans who were there simply to antagonize MGK by flipping him off and booing him. He addressed the weird, angry guys in the crowd a couple of times, and even punched a guy who shoved him when he was singing on the ground between the barricade and the stage. A few weeks after Louder Than Life, MGK had a similar experience during his set at Aftershock Festival in Sacramento, California. This time, not only did members of the crowd boo him and flip him off, but he also had tree branches and bottles thrown at him on stage. In early 2022, Taylor touched on the situation with MGK during a fan Q&A on board the Shiprocked cruise. While he didn't get too into detail, he insisted that MGK started the whole thing, comparing him to a weird substitute teacher who came into the rock genre and then tried telling rock stars how to dress and act.
You've been here for 5 minutes, basically. And you're gonna fucking run your mouth about bands that have been doing this for 20 fucking years?
Oh, it's a attack machine gun Kelly! Not off the stage!
This comment was likely in reference to an interview that MGK did in late 2020 with Allison Hagendorf, where he insulted today's rock stars and said that they're too comfortable and don't wear shoes that fit the part.
This is what I fucking hate. This is what I will tell you. I did Warped Tour, and these motherfuckers would wear comfortable shoes on stage every day. Fuck your fucking Nike New Balance fucking comfy shoes because it makes you feel comfortable. Like, it's not about you. It's about the show.
He followed up the interview with a tweet shortly after that said, "To the bands mad I said they wear comfy shoes, I'm very sorry that I can get you this upset just by talking about your little pointy New Balances. I wear pink, so like, what do I know anyway?" As we stated earlier, this feud was rather short-lived. In his documentary Life in Pink, which came out in July of 2022, MGK expressed regret over the situation and said that he wished he had just called Taylor and hashed it out with him over the phone rather than turning it into a public spectacle. He also said in the film,
"That situation is unfortunate because I think both of us let our egos get in the way.
You know, I was a fan of Slipknot. I was a fan of Corey. That's why I'd asked him to get on Tickets to My Downfall. He obviously had mutual respect too because he cut a verse. I kind of tried to give notes back like, oh, you know, this wasn't exactly what I was looking for. Can we try this?" And respectfully, he was like, you know, no.
And I was like, okay, cool. So we didn't use it. You know, then I heard him on a podcast.
When Taylor appeared on Allison Hagendorf's podcast in May of 2023, she brought up MGK's documentary and how he said that he wished he had handled the situation with Taylor better. Taylor said that he'd heard about it from some mutual friends and he understands the feeling of wanting to take back things that you say.
He and I will probably never be friends, but I'm sure we can both respect each other for what we do.
Shortly after, Taylor appeared on Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast in the summer of 2023 and explained that he let everything with MGK go when he was asked about it.
I would have been such an asshole even 15 years ago.
Taylor said that there are certain traits that MGK has that he also sees in himself, and he admitted that he was just as much to blame as MGK for how the whole thing went down. He also added that he had to shut fans down who tried to talk about MGK to him. MGK essentially admitted his own defeat in his documentary, but Taylor didn't let his opponent fully take the blame either. We also know that you expect us to dub Taylor the champion, so by unanimous decision, we call this match a draw. Thanks for watching, and let us know what feud you'd like to see us dive into next time.